We'll get this public caucus started. Tonight we have representatives from PA American Water, the sewer and stormwater side, correct?
Sewer side, yeah, that's correct.
Sewer side. So yeah, the floor is yours, and then we'll open it up to any questions
All right, sounds
council
good.
has.
My name's Jeremy Hull. I'm the operations manager of Scranton Wastewater, formerly the Scranton Sewer Authority. I don't know if you were provided a copy of what I typed up prior to the meeting, but what I have is all of our projects for 2022 broken up into 3 different categories. We have the sewer main replacement, sewer rehabilitation, and then also our long-term control plan projects. Sewer main replacement is our typical digging, so I'll just run through these quickly. Church Avenue, and of course, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any time. Church Avenue and Oak Street, we're going to be replacing approximately 700 feet of sewer main along the 1700 block of Church Avenue and the 100 block of Oak Street. The replacement is scheduled to begin the week of June 13th, which would be next week, and restoration will be performed by November. Cobb Avenue and Seymour Avenue, it's replacement of more than 500 feet of 8-inch sewer main. It's actually in between Seymour and Cobb. Replacement is completed. Construction's already been finalized, with restoration of the alley happening in the coming months. Now it's a paper street. It's an unimproved alleyway. So we're working with.
Is that what it's considered? It's not actually considered a street?
Yeah, it's still a city street. It was never vacated, but it's unimproved is what it is.
Okay.
So we're working with the property owners to make sure that they're satisfied with the restoration also. I know that we had to take some things down, fences and things like that, so we'll work with them on those types of things. North Irving between East Gibson and Pine Street, it's going to be more than 550 feet of 20-inch sewer on the 700 block of North Irving. Construction is scheduled to begin in early June, and restoration will be performed by November. Alder Street between Crown Avenue and South Irving Avenue, replacement of more than 600 feet, 12-inch sewer main, 800 block of Alder, and construction is scheduled to begin in early July. Beaumont Avenue and Cayuga Street, Perry Avenue, and all the way out to Oak Street, replacement of more than 850 feet of 8-inch sewer along the 1700 block of Beaumont and 1700 block of Perry. Construction is scheduled to begin by one of our contractors in early July. Restoration will be performed by November. Ridge Row, and this is a job that Steve Oslinski talked about before, where we're coordinating the efforts between our wastewater division and our water division. Been coordinating with the University of Scranton. So on the sewer side, we're going to be replacing about 1,000 feet of very deep sewer. We've met with Scranton Fire Department on this one also, just to make sure that we have all the efforts coordinated. And construction is going to be, it is scheduled to start in late May, which it did. And it should be completed by the middle of August when the University of Scranton gets back in. As I mentioned, we have been coordinating with the University of Scranton on that one. And lastly, for construction, we have Boulevard Avenue and Richmond Street to sewer relocation, approximately 400 feet of sewer pipe. Construction's scheduled to begin in August, and restoration to then be done in November.
I have a question about that.
Yes.
So the Steamtown Marathon runs down Boulevard Avenue.
Yes.
That's October 9th.
Okay.
How much of Boulevard Avenue, like I know it's by Richmond Street, is it going to be passable for like the runners and traffic and?
Yeah, we always try to coordinate with the DPW when it comes to the Steamtown Marathon or any of those things. So we'll make sure that everything is passable.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
I have a question on that one too. Is that related at all to the issue that's across the street there with the business, because I think PA American Water is doing work to alleviate the issue behind that building across the street there, right?
That's correct. It is related to the work that's behind the building, but the work that we're doing currently is a small improvement project compared to what we'll be doing, which will be a permanent solution. We're working with the property owners on that one right now, get all the easements in place that we need and everything to make this project go off.
Okay.
There is a potential that the project could not go off this year because it is, we're still dealing with the property owners on that one.
Okay.
Any other questions on jobs that we're going to be digging this year? Okay. Next, I'll get into sewer main rehabilitation, and I just wanted to mention that this is all, mainly these projects are done without digging anything up. So we can pull liners through the sewers. Essentially, we feed the liner through the sewer, and then we run a robot through it that actually hardens the liner that goes through using UV. And it restores the sewer without ever having to dig anything up and makes it good for another 75 years. So we've had a lot of really good luck with it. We use a company called USG for that. So we're going to be doing a lot of that this year. Right now we have one that's going on the 400 block of New York, 1300 of Wyoming to Sanderson Avenue. We call that the prison line. It's coming down from Lackawanna County Prison, making the turn on the Wyoming Avenue, and then going in between buildings down, crossing over Penn Avenue, and finally ending down in Sanderson. So that one's about 1,100 feet of sewer main that's going to be rehabilitated. Again, the great thing about this is there's very little disruption to the pave. We may have to do a spot repair if the liner can't make it through, or dig up a manhole or two, but essentially that's it. So it's not an 1,100 foot trench, which is beneficial really to everybody. Bald Mountain Road, and then crossing down, going across to Continental Street, and then going through another unimproved road, which is 21st Avenue out to Luzerne Street. That's rehabilitation of 7,500 feet of sewer main, and that should be that's well underway and should be completed shortly. Morgan Highway, we're going to be going from Morgan Manor all the way down to Kaiser Avenue. So it's roughly 5,000 feet of sewer main that will be rehabilitated. And State Route 6 along Liggett's Creek, we're going to be going from Summit Point as we cross over the 81 on-ramp. We go down over the bank, we follow Liggett's Creek down through there, and then we end on Wales Street for that one. So that's about 3,400 feet of sewer main. And that's all we have for the lining projects this year. Any questions on any of those? Okay. Long-term control plan projects, and these are typically engineering projects. You'll see in any notes here, and I may refer to it frequently, about regulators. Regulators are really just manholes, but they have additional devices in them to relieve the pressure from our system because it is a combined system. The majority of it is a combined system. So when the system is overwhelmed with stormwater, it allows us to relieve some of the pressure into the adjoining waterways. So our goal here is to reduce the activations of those regulator chambers to 9 to the Lackawanna River and 4 to the tributary waterways. So first one I'll go through is Broadway Street at University of Scranton Southside Complex. So modifications to the regulator include installing adjustable diversion weirs, floatables, controls, and baffles, and also flow metering. The outfall improvements include extensions of the pipe and restoration of the eroded stream bank, so there will be some improvements there, and concrete steps to the outfall. All work will be done outside of the roadway. It'll all be off to the side, so there'll be no restoration needed on that one. Next is Cedar Avenue.
Just so, sorry, but just on Broadway Street, that will be done by the end of the year?
Yes.
Okay.
All of these projects are scheduled to be completed by December. Number 53, which is Cedar Avenue, near the intersection of Cedar Avenue and Brook Street. It's modifications, same modifications essentially, which included installing an adjustable diversion weir, floatable controls, and flow metering. All work, again, will be done outside of the roadway, and again, to be completed before the end of the year. Next is Locust Street and Cedar Avenue. This is the replacement of the existing regulator with dual chamber vault to include an adjustable diversion weir, floatable and solids control, and flow metering. It'll also include the replacement of about 150 feet of outfall pipe, which is essentially sewer main in the road along Cedar Avenue. It will require some temporary lane closures, and of course we'll have professionals out there taking care of that, and pave and restoration work will be completed by the end of the year. Maple Street and Crist Court, it's a replacement of the existing regulator with a dual chamber vault, and it includes all of the same modifications as I previously stated. The construction will be at the intersection of Maple Street and Crist Court, and will require temporary lane closures and pave restoration work. This will be completed again by the end of the year. South 6th, which is the 1200 block of South 6th Avenue. This project includes the installation of a 200,000 gallon storage tank. So this one will actually be putting, what we'll do is we'll put plastic pipe in the ground, large diameter plastic pipe, that will store any overflow from the regulator chambers. And then as the system goes back into dry weather mode, you know, the rain has subsided and everything is back to normal, it'll drain back to the system and for treatment at our wastewater treatment plant in Southside. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I do this all the time. I just leave it on.
That's okay.
For my own personal curiosity, these pressure regulators, so are these something new, or are they something old? Do these aid in, you know, the reduction of stormwater issues? Do they come on automatically? Do they really do the job? Are we putting in more than we ever had to help with the problems we have? Or they're just something that was always there and you're replacing them?
Yeah, so essentially what the regulators are, and you know, they're combined sewers. So what happens is there's a manhole in the street, and the sewer comes down the road, and then makes a turn, and that turn directs the sewage to our wastewater treatment plant. Then there's a weir, which is just it's a very simple setting, which it's just there's nothing moving in it or anything like that. Weir is essentially a dam. So as the flow starts to come up, it starts hitting that dam, and then when it exceeds the height of the weir, it jumps over and then goes out into the river. So the way that it worked was our system was typically created around the turn of the century, long before the wastewater treatment plant was there. So all of the sewage used to be directed to the Lackawanna River and to the tributaries of the Lackawanna River. So when they installed the wastewater treatment plant, they installed a series of interceptor sewers which intercepted those points to the Lackawanna River. And those points that they intercepted it are called regulators, because it still needs to be able to discharge. We are not installing any more regulators. That's not something that we'd want to do. We'd actually want to reduce the number that we have if possible, because of the potential for pollutants during rain events. So, I mean, right now, on our permit, I believe we have about 80 combined sewer overflows throughout the city of Scranton and borough of Dunmore.
Thanks for the clarification.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so the last one we talked about was South 6th Avenue, and that's 20,000 gallons of storage. The work will require some lane closures and pave restoration, and it is to be completed before the end of the year. The last one that I have is CSO number 25 and 51, which is Willow Street and Birch Street CSO project. I know that's been a point that a lot of people have talked about, the restoration along the 100 block of Birch Street, where we have some hatches that have created kind of a hump or a ramp in the road. The hatches have been ordered. There's been a bit of a delay on them, but they are scheduled to arrive by August. We currently have road plates over the hatches securing them, and those road plates have been bolted down to make sure that it doesn't create any problems for the public. We've also been in contact with Scranton Fire Department on several different occasions about that too.
So if you receive those hatches in August, will that be when the road is fully restored, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll install the hatches. We'll have a contractor install the hatches, and then the road will be restored, and everything will be taken care of at that time. And it should be a smooth transition across those hatches, and no more hump that's currently there.
Okay, that would be great.
And that would be done before the asphalt plants close and work
Oh,
shuts
yeah.
down for the winter?
Yeah, we anticipate, that's really a very high priority for us. We know that there's been a lot of focus on it, and, you know, we would like to get that completed as quickly as possible. If we could get the hatches quicker, we certainly would.
Yeah, what
If
do you
for
see as
some
the-
reason, sorry, if for some reason it's delayed even further, would you mind corresponding with us and making us aware of that, or having someone else do that? Because this has been a really long time that the people in that area have been dealing with not being able to use the road when it was closed, and now not wanting to drive on it because of the severity of those humps in the road. So we would like to see that completed as soon as possible. It's been a long conversation, so if it's going to be delayed even further, then we'd love to know that.
Absolutely, and we'll certainly communicate with council. I'll reach out to Frank if there's anything going on and if there's any type of delay. Also, I should mention that we do meet with the city of Scranton every month. It's the third Wednesday, I believe that it is, of every month. We typically meet with the DPW director, city engineer, fire chief, and sometimes the city planner, Don Kangel, will come in, and also the roadmaster will join us. So we try to make sure that we have a very clear line of communication with the city, and we want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can for the city.
If, back to the Birch Street, if those hatches arrive by August, do you have a set end date or an estimated end date for that piece of?
That I would have to defer to engineering. I wouldn't be able to answer it, but I do know that it's a top priority, so we'll be trying to complete that as quickly as possible.
All right.
We do
thanks.
understand the urgency.
Thank you.
So the issue there is just hatches?
Yes. Yeah, it's some hatches in the road, and I can't really speak to exactly how or what went wrong. I'd have to talk to engineering to get full clarification on that. If you'd like, I could have something typed up and send it over. But my understanding is it's just the way that the hatches for the storage tank that's actually sitting in Birch Street, the way that they were set. I don't think it was on the contractor. I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but it created almost like a little ramp in the road.
Yes.
Yeah, if that's something that you can have someone type up and send over, it'd be great to see the
Absolutely.
explanation of that.
We could do that.
Thank you.
We'll have our engineering department do that. Okay.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Hull?
I do. So I sent, you received an email from me. I had a couple questions from a citizen from over on Southside near Birch Street. So the answers that I got back were basically that it was the water side of American Water. So can you explain to people at home maybe how the stormwater side and the water side maybe interact with each other and coordinate so they could better understand that?
Yeah, so the ones that I got was, so we had the 600 of Birch Street. We had restored that in 2018, and we don't show coming back since then to dig anything up. So it's potentially, it could be a different utility company. I'm not really sure. And on the 400 at Elm Street, we did do construction on the 1 and 300 blocks, but not
So
the...
I'm thinking maybe just the addresses are a little bit off.
They could be, yeah. Yeah, and just for clarification, I handle all of the wastewater side of Pennsylvania American Water, so formerly Scranton Sewer Authority, all the sewers in the city of Scranton and Borough of Dunmore. Steve Oslinski and Keith Hillard, who were here before, would be the best people to reach out to for that. I did touch base with them on all these to make sure that there was clear communication and the
Yeah,
email.
no, I
that
really
sent
do
them.
appreciate I mean, you gave quick responses. I mean, it explained it somewhat to me, but that's what I was just trying to get. What's the interaction? What's the relationship like between the water and the sewer side? And
We try to coordinate projects as frequently as we can. The projects that we've been doing over the past couple of years were the highest priority jobs over the past 5 years. So there wasn't quite as much coordination as we would have liked. And it was only because it was those very high priority jobs on the sewer side that we needed to get completed. But as with Ridge Row, I think you're going to be seeing a lot more coordination between sewer and distribution water throughout the coming years. That's certainly something that we like to do because it's as little interruption for all of our customers and for the general public when it comes to restoration and things like that.
when it comes to Steve, and this is a question that's not maybe towards you, but how is he with responding to some of these questions? Do you think he's going to get back rather quickly, or?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Steve and I speak quite frequently.
yeah. Mr. Donahue or Frank, do we have them, Steve, coming in at all in the near future?
Frank has a contact for him.
Yeah.
They were in March.
Yeah,
They were in, I can bring them in again if you like.
all right.
They're
Maybe-
very responsive.
Okay, maybe in the future, but,
All right.
all right, thanks.
I'll make arrangements. Thanks.
And as always, if you'd like, if you have questions for wastewater and distribution, we'd be happy to come in at the same time, too, if you'd like.
I think the questions that I mostly had were, when it comes to Birch Street, it looks like the hatches are coming in, that's going to be done
Yes.
before the winter, and then the answer I got back on Broadway Street was that it should be mid-June, so I don't know if that's still the deadline there,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
the
so-
timeline for Broadway.
Yeah, so, yeah, Broadway, I know that they're scheduling restoration over there, but again, that's a distribution project, so I'd have to defer to Steve on that. I will speak for him. But yeah, the restoration is scheduled to be done this year on that.
All right, thank you, and thank you for your quick responses, and I'll speak with Steve in the future.
Absolutely. Happy to do it.
Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.